a ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. A comparison of two quantities by division. You can make that a comma and just write fraction. It's a fraction is all it is. Ratio is a fraction. All right, we see it every week in here. Number correct on a quiz. Over. Possible correct. That's a ratio. So if your number correct is 8, and there was 11 questions on the quiz, you got 8 out of 11 correct. But that's called a ratio. And if you take the numerator and you divide it by the denominator, because this is a comparison by division, the numerator divided by the denominator, that's 8 divided by 11. I got 0.73, but 0.73, I got mine second fixed too, rounding 2 decimal places. And that gives you 73%. Okay, so the 8 over 11, that's a ratio. Wouldn't you think, and I know you haven't started thinking yet because you just came back from the break, but wouldn't you think that if you got 8 correct out of 11 possible, your grade would be higher than a low C? I mean, you got 8 of them right, and you only got 3 wrong. And it's 73%. That's what I don't understand sometimes about my boss and your parents when they complain about a grade. You know, how come so many kids have C's or D's? Well, what's 7 out of 11? What does that equal to? You get 7 right out of 11 total.
63 or 64.
It's a D. You know what I mean? 64%. That's a D. You know? If you're just talking to your parents casually over dinner and they said, how'd you do in your quiz? Say, I got 7 of them right. Really? How many were there? 11. Wow, nice job. Right? Wouldn't that be your first impression?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Mom or Dad? Then when you get a D, they ground you, don't they? So you should play that game with them. Okay? I got a bunch right. I didn't get that many wrong, but that's a D. Just think what, your parents that want you to have A's and B's. If your parents want you to get all A's, you got to get 9 right out of every 10 questions that you answer. And what does that give you? If you get 9 right out of every 10 that you answer, that only gives you a 90. That's almost the lowest A you can get. An 89.5 is the lowest A you can get. So getting 9 right out of 10 really isn't good enough, because as soon as you get 8 right out of 10, what's that equal to? That's equal to 80%. And if you average these two together, your grade's an 85. You got a B. All right? You got 17 right out of 20. You only got 3 wrong out of 20. And that's an average B. It's right in the middle of a B. Okay? Crazy, isn't it? All right, I thought you would find that enlightening. All right, look at page 461. Guided practice. Right in the middle of the page. In Logan's High School, there's 190 teachers. All right, so there's 190 teachers, and there are 2,650 students. Okay, this is teachers, this is students. What is the approximate student-to-teacher ratio? Okay, look, if they ask for the student-to-teacher ratio, It's student to teacher. Student's got to go on the top, okay? Whatever's listed first goes on the top of the fraction. Whatever's listed first goes in the numerator. So your student to teacher ratio is going to be 2650 to 190. And so you take 2650 and you divide it by 190. And it's 13.95 or 14 to 1. Approximately 14. Okay, that would be 14 to 1. Another way to write that is 14 to 1. Student to teacher ratio. Whatever's listed first goes in front of the colon. Okay? Whatever's listed in front of the colon goes in the numerator. Good? All right, below that, an extended ratio. Extended ratio. Compares three or more quantities. An extended ratio compares three or more quantities. All right, it may look something like A to B to C. All right, it compares three quantities. So if you're told that the ratio of angles in a triangle is 5, or let's do 2 to 3 to 2 to 3 to 5. The ratio of angles in a triangle is 2 to 3 to 5. What are the angle measures? All right, that extended ratio means that here's a picture of what this means. It means you got a triangle, and one of the angles is 2 times a multiplier. Another angle is 3 times a multiplier, and the third angle is 5 times a multiplier. That's the extended ratio, 2 to 3 to 5. Well, what do all these angles have to add up to in a triangle? 180. So you've got a 2x, plus a 3x plus a 5x that has to equal 180. So you can combine all your like terms and you can find the multiplier. Okay, so 10x equals 180. You can divide each side by 10, and x equals 18. But that wasn't the question, was it? The question was, what are the angle measures? Well, 2 times 18 would be this angle measure. What's 2 times 18? 36, good. And 3 times 18? Good. And 5 times 18? 90 degrees. All right, the picture's not really to scale, but do you get the idea? If you're given the extended ratio of the interior angles of a triangle of 2 to 3 to 5, then 2x plus 3x plus 5x has to equal 180. Okay? if you're told that the sides of a triangle, are in the ratio three to 5 to 7, and the perimeter is, what's that? Is 120. Find the length of each side. All right. So now you're talking about the sides of a triangle, and you're not talking about the angles. What do these three sides of the triangle have to add up to? Good, the 120, because that was your perimeter. So you've got here, you got 3 times the multiplier plus 5 times the multiplier plus 7 times the multiplier. And that's got to equal 120. So that is 15x equals 120. And if you divide each side by 15, what does x equal to? Say again.
8.
X is equal to 8. So if x is equal to 8, 8's your multiplier. So find the length of each side. Well, the length of each side is going to be 3 times 8, which is 24. 5 times 8, which is 40. And 7 times 8, which is 56. So those are your 3 side lengths. When you add those together, it's going to equal 120. Second part of the assignment today is going to deal with proportions. Proportion. That's an equation. An equation stating 2 ratios. Are equal. An equation stating 2 ratios are equal. So the proportion 9, or the ratio 9 over x, equals 21 over 31.5. Alright, you've got a ratio equal to a ratio. So this is an equation stating 2 ratios are equal. This is called a proportion. And in this proportion, or in all proportions, cross products are equal. Cross products are equal. What that means is that 21 times x, so 21 times x is equal to 9 times 31.5. Cross products. The 21 times the x is equal to the 9 times the 31.5. And then you do your math and it'll be a little more familiar looking. So 21 times x is 21x. 9 times 31.5, it's 283.5. if you divide each side by 21, then x equals 13.5. All right, and that's how you solve for x in a proportion. Another example of a proportion looks like x plus 3 over 2 equal to 4x over 5. And again, it's a proportion, so your cross products are equal to each other. So your 4x times 2, you got 4x times 2 is equal to 5 times x plus 3. So 4x times 2 is 8x. And over here on the right side, now you got to do the distributive property. You've got 5 times x, which is 5x. And you've got 5 times 3, which is 15. And now you just got a two-step equation to finish. So if you subtract 5x from each side, then 3x is going to equal 15. And you can divide by 3. X equals 5. Questions? All right, let's take that proportion and apply it to a word problem. Look at page 463, real world example 4, because this is where we're going with this. Car ownership. Fernando conducted a survey of 50 students driving to school and found that 28 owned cars. 50 driving to school, 28 owned cars. If 755 students drove to school, predict the total of number of students who own cars. So look, you're going to have, what's your first ratio going to be?
28 over 50.
Okay, 28 over 50. So you're going to do owned over drove. Okay? Owned over drove. So 28 owned over 50 that drove. And you're going to make that equal to, now, this is real important. The second part of this proportion, if you started off with owned as the numerator, then owned has to be the numerator in the second ratio. Predict the total number of students who own cars. All right, so this is where your variable goes. Over. If 755 drive to school, so over 755. Okay? This is how you use similarity and proportions to solve problems. You set two ratios equal to each other. You solve for the variable. So cross products are equal. So 50 times x is 50x. Equals 28 times 755. 21,140. All right, if you divide each side by 50, then x is equal to 422.8. So we're going to go with, what does it say? Predict the total number of students that will own cars. 422.8. I don't think 0.8 of a kid's going to be able to own a car, you know what I mean? So 422, about 422, 423 are going to own their car. What's going on with the rest of them? They drive their parents' car maybe. Maybe they're making payments on the car. They don't own it yet. They're buying it. Maybe they stole it. You never know. You get the idea? All right. Anybody have any questions? Take a look at page 464. You're going to do 1 through 9 today. And then over on 465, 17 through 20. Please check Edline for homework. And answer the focus question.